Alright guys, so I'm going to read you some more in our story today. Yesterday I modeled how I wanted you to pick 5 multisyllabic words, and I think our video got cut off because it only lets me record 15 minutes, but you still saw the process, okay? So as I'm reading today, you're going to have to pause the video, and I want you to come up with 5 words that you hear today as I'm reading that are multi-syllables, more than one syllable, okay? Because you're going to be writing them, decoding them, and telling me how many syllables there are, okay? Also, as you are listening, you need to listen for a simple and a compound sentence that you hear. Okay, you're going to be listing those also. And pause your video so you can get it written down so that on the next page you already have it and you don't have to listen again to the story. All right? Okay. Let me zoom in a little bit so you can see. Ooh, that's way too much. That should be good. And I'll make sure you can see the page so that when you're copying, you have the correct way to spell the words. Working on his library essay like he'd never worked on an essay in his whole essay writing life, Kyle crafted a killer thesis sentence that compared libraries to his favorite games. Using a library can make learning about anything and everything fun, he wrote. When you're in a library researching a topic, you're on a scavenger hunt looking for clues and prizes in books instead of your attic or backyard. He put in points and subpoints. He wrapped everything up with a tidy conclusion. He even checked his spelling twice, but Akemi had been right. "I'm sorry, Kyle," Mrs. Cameron said when he handed her his new paper at the end of the day. "This is very good, and I am impressed by your extra effort. However, the deadline was this morning. Rules are rules, the same as they are in all the board games you mentioned in your essay." She basically handed Kyle a Go Back 500 Spaces card, but Kyle refused to give up. He remembered how his mother had written to Mr. Limoncello's Imagination Factory when he and his brothers needed a fresh set of clue cards for the indoor-outdoor scavenger hunt. Maybe he could send his essay directly to Mr. Limoncello via email. Maybe if the game maker wasn't judging the essays until later that night, Kyle still had a shot. A long shot, but hey, sometimes the long ones are the only shots you got. The second he hit home, he sat down at his mother's kitchen computer. He attached his essay file to a high-priority email addressed to Mr. Limoncello at the Imagination Factory. "What are you doing, Kyle?" his mother asked when she came into the room and found him typing on her computer. "Some extra credit homework." "Extra credit? School's out at the end of the week." "So? You're not playing my Diner Dash game, are you?" "No, Mom, it's an essay about Mr. Limoncello's amazing new library downtown." "Oh, sounds interesting. I heard on the radio that there's going to be a gala grand opening reception this Friday night at the Parker House Hotel, right across the street from the old bank building. I mean, the new library." Kyle typed in a P.S. to his email. "I hope at the party on Friday you have balloons." He hit send. "Who did you send your essay to?" his mother asked. "Your teacher?" "No, Mr. Limoncello himself. It took some digging, but I found his email address on his game company's website." "Really? I'm impressed." His mom rubbed his hair. "You know, this morning I said to your dad, Kyle can be just as smart as Curtis and just as focused as Mike when he puts his mind to it." Kyle smiled. "Thanks, Mom." But his smile quickly disappeared when a bong alerted him to an incoming email. From Mr. Limoncello, it was an auto-response form letter. "Dear Limoncello Game Lover, this is a no-reply mailbox. Your message did not go through. Do not try to send it, or you'll just hear another bong, but thank you for playing our games." All right, Chapter 7. Don't forget, if you hear a good word or you see a simple or compound sentence, you need to pause it and write it. Heading back to school on Tuesday, Kyle knew he had to put on a brave face. He smiled as he walked with his class toward the auditorium for a special early morning assembly, the one where Mr. Luigi L. Limoncello himself would announce the winner of the library lock-in essay contest. "I hope he pictures," Kyle whispered to Akemi. "Thanks, I do too. But the lock-in won't be as much fun without you." Well, when it's over, the library is officially open and you can take me on a tour. That's exactly what I'm going to do, if I win. If you don't, I'm sending a flaming squirrel after Mrs. Cameron. For this assembly, the 7th graders, most of whom were 12 years old, were told to sit in the front row, close to the stage. That made Kyle feel a little better. At least he'd get a chance to see Mr. Limoncello up close and personal. But his hero wasn't even on stage. Just the principal, the school librarian, Mrs. Younguns, and a red-headed woman in high-heeled shoes who Kyle didn't recognize. She sat up straight, like someone had slipped a yardstick down the back of her bright red business suit. Her glasses were bright red, too. "That's Dr. Yanina Zinchenko," gushed Miguel Fernandez, who was sitting on Kyle's right. "Who's she?" asked Akimi, seated to Kyle's left. "Just the most famous librarian in the whole world." "All right, boys and girls," said the principal at the podium. "Settle down. Quiet, please. It is my great honor to introduce the head librarian for the new Alexandriaville Public Library, Dr. Yanina Zinchenko." Everybody clapped. The tall lady in the red outfit strode to the microphone. "Good morning." Her voice was breathy, with just a hint of a Russian accent. 12 years ago, this town lost its one and only public library when it was torn down to make room for an elevated parking garage. Back then, many said the internet had rendered the old-fashioned library obsolete, that a new parking garage would attract shoppers to the boutiques and dress shops near the old bank building. But the library's demolition also meant that those of you who are now 12 years old have lived your entire lives without a public library. She looked down at the front rows. This is why, to kick off our summer reading program, 12 12-year-olds will be selected to be the very first to explore the wonders awaiting inside Mr. Limoncello's extraordinary new library. You will, of course, need your parents' permission. We have slips for you to take home. You will also need a sleeping bag, a toothbrush, and, if you please, a change of clothes. She smiled mysteriously. You might also consider packing 2 pairs of underwear. Okay, thought Kyle, that's bizarre. Did the librarian really think 7th graders weren't toilet trained? There will be movies, food, fun, games, and prizes. Also, each of our 12 winners will receive a $500 gift card good towards the purchase of Limoncello games and gizmos. Oh man, $500 worth of free games and gear? Kyle sank a little lower in his seat. The next time someone gave him an extra credit essay assignment, he'd turn it in early. And now, here to announce our winners, the man behind the new library, the master gamester himself, Mr. Luigi Limoncello. Dr. Zinchenko gestured to her left. The whole auditorium swung their heads. People were clapping and whistling and cheering, but nobody came on the stage. The applause petered out. And then, on the opposite side of the stage, Kyle heard a very peculiar sound. It was a cross between a burp and the squeak from a squeeze toy. All right, I'm going to stop there, and I'm going to let you go to the next page on the slide, and then you have to tell me 5 multisyllabic words you heard, and then a simple and compound sentence that you heard in the story.